Hello, everybody. I am SunPsychic Jean, and please welcome my very special guest back again for the third time, Ellen Edmondson. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Jean. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to come back.
It's so lovely for you to be here again, and I'm looking forward to our conversation regarding spiritual awareness. And I also wanted to remind everyone about your book. And your book is A Place of Love and Light. And do you want to tell us a little bit about what your book is about? And
Sure.
how,
A Place to Love and Light is it's a collection. A book that came to me. It's inspired writings. So it's a collection of wisdoms, and it's short poetry, prose, and short writings. And so basically, it's like channeled writings that came through for me. And it's one is they consider it, you can see it won the literary award. It came out in November, the book did, and it did win a book award for spirituality, self-help, because it does have exercise, reflections, questions in there that help people dive deeper into themselves, self-improvement, and how to connect with that higher part of themselves. So the book has been receiving great reviews out there on Amazon, and I just encourage people. It's the like I said, the feedback and the endorsement, just people are really resonating with it, the messages of unconditional love and compassion and authenticity, and how to connect with that higher part of ourselves, our spirituality and our soul self. So it's really a good read that answers some of those bigger questions of life that people may sometimes wonder: what is my purpose? Why am I here? How do we move through life with a deeper and a better understanding? And one of the parts that I like about the book that makes it a little more unique is that it is written as if you're certain parts of it as if you're having a conversation with your uh, higher source directly, because it is channeled from that space.
oh, that's amazing. That is really beautiful. I love that it is all channeled in a compilation. It's really beautiful, and it's very much needed and sought after. I mean, this is what everybody is looking for. Is like a guidebook and some. I love that it has the exercises in it as well. Some questions that we can reflect on and help us to connect ourselves.
Great. Yeah, that was one thing that just came through with this. It's just ways that we can prompt people to go deeper, look at life a little differently, and help them with connecting to their best and highest self and their higher source.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. I, Ellen, you are also a psychic and a medium and a spiritual counselor and a soul portrait artist. And let me know if what other things I'm forgetting here, because you are multi-talented and very well. She's a channeler and an author. And tell them a little bit, just because you've been here before, but just tell them a little bit about what you do.
Yes. Well, just everything that you mentioned. I am a psychic medium. And so I work with clients in that way. I do, you mentioned, the book and channeled writings. I am a spirit artist, so I can draw people's departed loved ones, and even other intuitive art, because I do something called auragraphs, which you've talked about on the show before, which are soul portraits. So I can go in and access and do a detailed artistic representation of somebody's soul. Intuition, I do coaching with people on intuition, who are emerging, who are having their spiritual awakening, and how to walk through that, learning how to trust and embrace it. And then I also work with parents with children who are highly intuitive, because I have that whole effort because my son is as well. And we've started that a website and a whole effort around supporting children as well. So like you said, I'm kind of multifaceted. I do a lot of different things, and it's just been a joy being able to work with the different people I'm working with and put the different information out there that's having an impact on folks, because like you said, a lot of this is needed. People are awakening and wanting this information and wanting to embrace it, just like what
Absolutely.
you're doing, Jean. You're doing incredible work too. So we're light workers, and what we're doing is needed.
Absolutely. And the whole community here and more. It's I was at a psychic fair earlier this year up in Philadelphia, and I was really, I mean, working with the public, it's amazing to have somebody sit in your seat and say, I've been having these dreams, and I see this, and I keep seeing these numbers, and I feel like there's somebody trying to contact me, and I feel like I need to be doing like they're feeling these urges and these sensations that I remember early on. But they say no, they are not a medium. They don't usually come to psychic fairs. This is the first time that they're looking into it because they feel the energy changing, and they feel like this calling or this awareness that they just don't understand. It's really refreshing and amazing to see how many people. I've heard it described as like popcorn, like people are awakening and becoming aware one at a time, and it's going to become a little bit faster and faster. But
Yeah.
it's very exciting, very exciting. And our community here is grown and expanded and is very high vibrational and awareness, and just a beautiful array of community members that come and watch the shows, and the community, the other content um, providers also are so varied and very talented as well. It's lovely to see and to be together and have like-minded people come together and talk and discuss about these things. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit is about spiritual awareness, spiritual awareness in the sense of our own uh, sense of ourselves and what it means to have our spiritual or our soul in contained in this incarnation, in this uh, human container, and our what how we're connected to our source, our higher self, our soul's essence, and what all that entails. It really is a huge subject, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Did you have anything that you wanted to start with?
I think what you led in with was saying that many people, and that's what I've been noticing as well. There's so many people who are having these experiences now that are more sensitive, and they're opening, they're awakening, because I really feel like there's just a shift that's happening for people to. We're at a place where we are on this awakening, this ascension. Like things are shifting, human consciousness is shifting, and people are starting to understand that they are more, and having these experiences that let them know that they're more than just this physical existence. There is a bigger eternalness to all of us. That soul part of us is connected to the larger part of life. And so I think this is a great conversation to have, Jean, because so many people have experiences but are afraid to talk about them, or don't know what's happening, don't know how to experience, how to put it into words. And one of the things I do with my, like the group I do with the kids and the families and all, is just trying to normalize conversations around all of this, so people can start having the words and start knowing that it's okay to talk about it. It's not as unique and strange as you might think. A lot of people are shifting and having these awakenings, and we need to bring it out, talk about it, so we can support each other and give people a real understanding about it. So this is great. We're the conversation we're going to have today.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. And a lot of the how it begins, I think, is with our loved ones who have transitioned, and being in contact with them and having them contact us, and having experiences or happenings or things going on around us that um, include them, and how that pertains to us here in this world. And sometimes it's very it can be a learning experience, a growth experience, but it can also be a little bit scary as well, because we're not prepared for something like that, because we haven't been told that these things are possible and that occur naturally in our lifetime. But I think that a lot of people start there. They start with their loved ones who have transitioned or their pets, and then they have, either dreams, or they hear things, or they see things, or they feel things that are about their loved ones who have transitioned, but it's happening here in this world. And I think that that kind of spurs things on for them. I also have noticed that people are in contact with their spirit guides and angels, and they feel led, or they feel like they have a dream that inspires them to do something, or to draw something, or to go somewhere. Um, and uh, this is all part of it, and it's all in the very beginning of the spiritual awareness and the self-awareness, like learning that we're more than just this ego part of us. There's an ego part of us that we've been conditioned to pay attention to, and to um, focus on, and to live through that ego part of us, and to ignore that spiritual side of us, that connection that we have to source and to our loved ones on the other side, our spirit guides and angels. And that connection is coming through and becoming more a part of our everyday life.
Absolutely, absolutely. You touched on quite a few really powerful points there, because one of the things I know for a lot of people, some of the people that I've encountered, have their awakening, or they have their shift. Or I know even how I had mine, and it was with the death of my mother. Usually it comes through, like what you're saying, something traumatic, life changing, life altering, that makes you question, there's got to be more, or, what's happened, there's more to life, or how is my loved one doing now that they're no longer here? It makes you go on, start doing that soul searching. And when you start doing that, and you have that kind of an experience, whether it's some kind of training, it could be even maybe like the loss of a pet, like you said, or a major loss of a job, or some major illness, a major illness, and all, it jolts you into starting to ask those questions, that are those soul resonating questions, that then start making you more sensitive to what will come, how you start picking up on other information around you. And so I know that was what happened. My mother passed. I had no idea I was a medium. I realize now, from a child, I always had this. And when people think back, we always have different intuitive type experiences, or even some sixth sense experiences that people they just don't talk about. And I've had a few clients who've said that. It's like, I was experiencing this, I was afraid to talk about it. I didn't want anybody to think I was crazy. And I was like, it's not crazy. It's just, we need to share so that people know that you will hear or experience those things. But that it was after my mother passed that I learned that I was very clairaudient, or like my solar plexus, I would feel things, and I would start, having these sensations. It was to the point that we actually had physical activity in the house. Her presence was so strong. She had knocked a picture off the wall at one point, and we were just like, whoa, what's going on? But I wasn't scared, because I knew my mom and I were that close. It was her. But it was just something, it started coming in for us to really know that. So when people, I was telling, don't be afraid of these experiences, but just talk and find a supportive community or person that you can really share this with. But trauma or some life-changing event definitely opens you up spiritually, makes you tap into the biggerness of life, which is that soul connection, that eternalness. And then, like what you said, Jean, yes, your guides, when people are seeing, and I know you can attest to this too, repeating numbers, when you're seeing 111, 222, 44, 1234, when you start having coincidences and synchronicities happening, that's your guides. That's how they're communicating with you. You start seeing feathers around, or red birds showing up, or they're trying to get your attention. And when they can get your attention, and when you start taking note of those, repeating those signs and symbols and coincidences, and you start looking at them for more than just like, that's just a coincidence, that just happened. There's no mistakes. They're actually signs from the universe. They're signs from God. They're signs from your higher source, whatever label you want to put on it that resonates for you. That's what's happening. And that's their way of trying to get your attention and let you know. When you see that, you can tell you're awakening, because you are, like what Jean just said, when you get out of your ego self, when you get out of letting yourself expand more than just being physical and just your mind and just that ego part of yourself, that's when you start stepping into that awakening, that awareness, and you start realizing there's so much more out there. So I mean,
A
I
lot
love
of
the points you hit on, Jean. That was great.
a lot of people ask me, what does it mean I saw these numbers, or what does it mean I had a dream about my mother, or what does it mean I feel like somebody, my spirit guides are telling me something, and they want to know, what did they want when they did this, or when I saw that, what did that mean, what did they want? And I said they just wanted to make sure that they made the connection, that you have the awareness that the spiritual realm, or your loved ones, or your spirit guides are connecting and contacting you. They're just opening up that doorway, or that communication, for them to connect with you. And then once you say, okay, that's my spirit guide, or that's my mother, or that's thank you, I appreciate, or I'm so grateful for the synchronicity and for the signs, then they understand that you can hear them and that you can communicate with them, and they'll start coming in with a little bit more. But not every synchronicity means they want to tell you something. It just means they want you to notice and to pay attention and to ask those questions and to become aware of the other side coming in. And would you say the same?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's you're spot on, because it is, once you start, they're always communicating with us, and they always have been. It's just, have you paid attention? Have you been listening? Have you been seeing and picking up on it? Because a lot of times people brush things off as, oh, that's just an experience, or that's just unusual. But it's really, it's you receiving, we're continually receiving divine guidance all the time, in every moment of
Mhm.
every day. It's just
Mhm.
whether we are tuned in, spiritually awakened, if we've opened ourselves to being able to notice and understand and interpret. So what you said was perfect. And I wanted to share just a really quick story, because I had this experience just recently, just last week, or 2 weeks ago. I had taken my son, we were up at the community college, and he was doing something, he was getting a test, and I was in the bookstore with my new book I had just put out. And I was walking around the store, and I just, in my solar plexus, I just got this hit. And I know we all get these intuitive hits. You that gut instinct. And it said, go up to the front desk and talk to the person about your book being in the store. And I was in jeans and tennis shoes and t-shirt, and I was just like hair pulled, just, I was like, no, normally that wouldn't have been what I would do. I was like, I'll wait till it's a better situation, I'm dressed and all of it. But I just got it again. Go talk to the front desk person. So I go up there and I start talking with the young lady and asking her if they would carry the book in the bookstore. So she said, oh, I have to see a copy of it and put in for request for approval. I said, well, I have a copy in the car. I'll go get it and bring it back. So I go get it and I bring it back and I hand it to her. And she looks at it and she says, this looks familiar. She said, did you have a book signing about a couple months ago at the Barnes and Noble in Columbia Mall? And I was like, oh, yes, I did. And she said, I was there. She said, I was there working on a college paper. And so I'm familiar. I saw you there with your book. And right in that moment, I was like, wow. We both started laughing. I was like, there's no coincidence. That was a divine orchestration, because it was meant to be. So because we had that connection, she ended up putting in for approval and for it not only be carried in that store, but in the 4 campus bookstores
Oh, wow.
associated with it. But if I hadn't followed that, because a lot of times we blow things off and it's just like, well, I'm not going to do that. But I just felt it's like, just do this. And when I did, I was like, what are the odds that she was actually at my book signing when that happened? So I use that as an example to say, follow those nudges, follow those, because on the other side of that, look at what happens. And that happens for everybody. We're always getting those signs, or those little divine orchestrations that happen, but don't blow them off, because even if it might be something that may challenge you, when you get to the other side of it, there's always going to be a benefit for it. There's a reason for it, a connection that's made, a new opportunity that opens up, something that's going to be to your advantage, whether you realize it or not. But that's what our guides, they're in, and just your higher source is constantly trying to give us the good stuff. It's, are we listening? Are we open enough to receive it and know that's what's happening?
Wow. Wow, that's really beautiful. Yeah. It's it does sometimes catch us in a resistant mode of like, no, I can't do that, or that's too much, or they but when you feel it come through with a little bit more insistence, and sometimes I'm like, they kind of say, go do it, or call them, or and you can tell that little bit of insistence. And I love that they are so patient with us. I'm sure there was probably 10 synchronicities before that I was just blind to, and now they're like, let's do this, it's a good time, but why don't you make the move, or change, or make that decision. And it's really and it's important to understand that each and every human in this world has this ability, and it's all about whether we pay attention to it, whether we're sensitive to the subtle uh, uh, messages, or subtle signs, and subtle energies, because and we are becoming more sensitive because of the change in the frequency and vibration in humanity. There's an evolution going on in humanity, as well as the evolution on earth as well. We're changing density and frequency and vibration, which allows this higher dimension. They say that on the other side of the veil, it allows some of this to come in closer and become more accessible to us. And it's really very beautiful to know that each and every human here on Earth has this available to them. It's built in. We come this way. We we originate, but we do have this veil of forgetfulness that we have to also overcome, and it comes with some challenges. So I wanted to pop up this little it's a phrase, or a message here that will help us to describe what we're also talking about. And this is just describing who light workers are. And light workers are the souls who have agreed to shift the earth to a higher level of consciousness by spreading the light of love, freedom, knowledge, understanding, and healing. I thought that was really just, it's just, wow. And it really just rang true for me. They are the torch bearers who are often not aware of who they are, and therefore they go through the process of spiritual awakening to reach self discovery and actualization, which enables them to fulfill their purpose of helping others as a light worker. I just thought that was very profound, and just it was filled with, it just spoke, it expressed exactly what this is all about, and how to describe how what each of us may be feeling. And I love that that it comes with each and every human on the earth, no matter if we're aware of it or not. And I think that the light worker are the ones that are chosen to break through those norms and that ego driven society, to break through and be more uh, driven with our purpose of helping others and of being of service. And these are higher vibrational types of energies that we carry and express and share. And this also helps the evolution in humanity and the evolution on Gaia, on Earth as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that because there's we just have these physical bodies, and there's just a small piece of us. Our soul is funneled in, but we're still connected to the eternalness of life, the soul of life, and we have a part of our soul is in our body. So that's why I feel like we always have that divine connection. It's always there, but it's a remembrance. It's a peeling back of the layers of what I call false realities that are built up once we come into the world, because we look at each other and we see someone from, a different nationality, a different race, a different gender, a different culture, a different, I have blue eyes or brown eyes. We see all of this, but this is not who we are. We are actually a soul, a divine energy that's in this body that is here to complete a mission, a purpose. Every person has something that they are meant to contribute. And it's all woven together in a tapestry of what comes together as humanity and overall life. And it's how we do that and how we work through this together that makes our experience, whether we're going through it with pain and suffering, which is a more ego-driven way of approaching it, or love and joy, which is when we tap into our divine nature and we make decisions and we work from that space. And so I feel that it's just peeling back those layers, because when you're born into this physical environment, you are labeled these different things, but that's never who you really are. When people understand their birthright is their divine self and that connection to the eternalness of self, that's only love. That's only unconditional love. That's only compassion. And when you start getting back to that and understanding that you're more than the physicalness, that's when you're tapping into your authenticity, because every single one of us is divine love, unconditional love in many bodies. That's all we ever are. And we're here to be of service from that space. I wanted to, Jean, if I could real quick, because this is one of the channeled writings that came through, and it kind of goes back to what you're talking about, but this one came through and it's called Awaken Sleeping Beauty. It says, it is time for you, a beautiful soul, to awaken and claim all that is available to you. Peace, joy, unconditional love, abundance, excitement, wonder, and fulfillment. Your authentic life awaits you. The one you are experiencing right now is realizing your past and present imaginings. It is what you have created and accepted so far. Take a pause to reflect on your creation and review your handiwork. What adjustments need to be made? Then think and believe bigger, better, and greater for yourself and your capabilities. Your awakening begins with a thought and then the desire to live more consciously and walk through life as your best self, your divine self in every moment. For you see, what you hold in your thoughts, you become. So awaken and embrace the grander version of you. Embrace your connection to unconditional love. Think it, feel it, experience it, become it, and be it. Awaken, sleeping beauty, your purpose, your destiny, your becoming, the fullness of you, and claiming what you rightfully deserve and awaits you.
Wow, that was really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's it's important for all of us to remember that it's a lot of times it's our own ego that tells us that we're not worthy, that, oh, everybody else can do it, but I can't do it. Or maybe they can connect with their angels and loved ones, but I can't. But each and every one of us can, and each and every one of us will awaken. We will reach that awareness. We will reach that connection. I know a lot of people struggle to connect and hear their guides or listen to their guides, but they when it simply they already have been listening to their guides their entire lifetime. That is how we have a gut feeling or make a decision, or it's really a part of us, and it's just becoming aware of it's already here, it's already part of us. And it's some people say, I try to meditate and connect to my guides. I don't ever hear anything. But it's, I often say it's not try, it's allow for it to just come in naturally. And a lot of times it comes in our own voice. It comes in our own gut instinct. It comes in our own, nervousness or uncomfortableness that danger might be around. It's all of those instincts is our guidance. It is our spiritual, or our spiritual awareness. All of these things are and we're told that it's a human thing, but it's just trying to understand that those things are what we're talking about in the spiritual sense. Um, it's um, it's really beautiful when um, people are have a an awareness that when they have like an aha moment, when they reach that level of, I wish I would have been able to have that. Somebody told me that they wanted to connect with their father, and that they felt the love that when I was connecting to my father on the other side, and that they felt the love coming from my father, and they said that they wish that they had a relationship with their father like that because they felt that love. And I said, the love that you felt was from the other side. It was from the higher spiritual realm showing us unconditional love. I said, my father in this world we did not have a good relationship. And it's only when he was on the other side that I developed that connection with that unconditional love. And that's why I feel that now. And this person said, that has changed everything for me. She said, I thought you always had that relationship with your father. And she said, I could feel the love that was coming from your father. I said, that's the love of the divine. That's the love of the spiritual realm. You can have this with your father too, or your loved ones and your spirit guides. And just knowing that she felt it, but and describing it of what it was actually from, it just changed her whole perspective and understood that she can feel this, and what she's been feeling is from her spirit guides, loved ones, and from the other side, and her own spiritual vibration. It's really beautiful when you see people that have that change in their awareness and their awakening, and it's accessible for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when we're, like we've been saying, we're all souls having a human experience. And when we're in this form, it's easy to, I look at it as when we have our awakening, that's when we become more aware and are tapped into that space of unconditional love and compassion, and that divine nature that we have. Not that you aren't, when you're in your ego, you're there to some degree. But when you fully embrace it, when you can fully tap into it, is when you've awakened to like that deeper, that bigger meaning of life. And I feel that when people cross over, they're going back to the source from where they came, and they understand things from a different perspective. And you can have people who maybe weren't nice people here, and that's their personality. But the essence of them, when they go back over to the other side where they came from, they are going to be bathed in that unconditional love, because that's what it is over there. For them, they're going to be bathed in that, and that's what, like Jean is saying, that's what you're feeling. I think that's beautiful that you develop that relationship with your dad. You could feel that from him after he's passed. And I've done readings with people with that same kind of thing. It's like they could bring through messages because they're reaching back to give healing, comfort, and closure. That's when they're coming back from the other side. Those are the reasons that they come back. They're not coming back to cause people pain or to make things worse. It's usually those are the reasons: healing, comfort, closure, and encouragement, because they see from that grander perspective, that higher view of what life was really supposed to be like, or how it was meant to be lived here. But goes back to what we've been talking about, Jean, is people get bogged into the ego and the experiences that they have in this physical, and think that's all there is. Because unfortunately, just when you come into the world as a baby, we're being taught how to survive in this five, sense world. And we're not taught really to understand how to embrace that subtle realm, the subtle energies, that sixth sense, that intuitiveness that everybody has. And then those who have that heightened sense of it can do like Jean and I do, and people who are, have the ability to act as mediums and channels. But everybody does to some degree, and you always will with your own family members. So it's you feel it. You can definitely feel it in a different way, and you connect to it in a different way.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that conditioning because you have such an eloquent way of describing it. And when we come into this world and we're taught the five sensory world and not the extrasensory world, so to speak. When we're children, we have this fantasy, we have these imaginary friends, we have this playtime, and then the condition is focused so much on our ego and our um, just a society, what a society wants, and not enough play or even creativity when they take music out of schools or art out of schools. But that you were talking about that conditioning and what that looks like, and how we can reframe and step away from that and more into our creative side.
Yes, and that what you said, Jean, is important. That's one, like when they're talking about taking like art and music, those things out of schools, that's you're cutting off all of this intuitive and this heightened sense of sensitivity comes through the right brain. It's a very right brain, creative, intuitive. That's people usually can tap into their intuitiveness through creativity because it starts with your thoughts. It starts in the realm of imagination and visualization and how we're connecting with that realm, the subtle energies through the right brain. Left brain is very logical, very sensory, five sense oriented. So the best thing that we can do for our children and even for ourselves is get back to that being lighthearted, being creative, letting yourself play, because those are of the higher vibrating energies versus anything that's, fear, judgment, doubt, unworthiness, guilt, anger, resentment. All of those things are going to keep you in a denser energy, and you won't be able to awaken or to experience those subtle energies in that subtle realm connecting with you. Like you were mentioning, Jean, like some people will mention, oh, I'm not getting signs. You are getting signs. You are getting information. You are being guided, even if it's just you happen to pick up a book that gives you a message that you need at that exact moment. You were guided to that. Or a song that comes on the radio that makes you think about that loved one in that moment. Well, they're thinking about you. That was meant to happen because they're right there with you. And so when we can, that's where it's talking about the false realities. When children come into the world, I always use this analogy, Jean. I always say, when a child is born, there's no child that's born that comes in the world and says, when I grow up, I want to be insecure. I want to be the worst person I can be. I want to murder somebody. I want to embezzle money. I want to go around and be a psychopath. No, that's children when they're brand new infants. That's not what they get conditioned into that. And for me, I always remember that it's like people are conditioned because you have your family conditioning and whatever their belief systems and how they interact that impacts a child. Then they go off to school. You have media, you have video games and all this digital electronic stuff, and schools, teachers, and religious leaders if you're in churches. And as you're growing up, you're being told to sit this way, stand this way, do this to conform. And so we start learning that to be who we are is through external validation. We're looking for the answers from everybody outside of us. We think they know more than we do because our inner voice gets silenced because we're not taught how to stay connected to it, because we're always being taught that somebody else knows for us better than what we know for ourselves. And I think one of the best things that parents can do, because it all goes, but even parents get disconnected. That's how I think older adults, when they are awakening or trying to connect back, is because we've lost that connection with that inner voice that really always tells us what we need in any given moment. And that inner voice is your connection to your divine self, your guides, and your higher source. But when we can go back and pull away some of that unconditioning and stop the people pleasing and not letting other people control what we think, and really getting quiet and doing that self work, and to let go of those denser emotions and denser energies that we may consciously or not consciously know. I mean, is there forgiveness in there? Do you have to forgive somebody? Do you have to let go of resentment? with something, or do you have guilt over something? If faith and fear cannot coexist. Doubt and worry, they can't coexist with joy and happiness. So you've got to do the work to let go of those denser energies. And as you do that, you raise your vibration, then you naturally just become more in tune with those signs and synchronicities and the things happen. You pick up on them easier because you've let go, you've dropped some of the other baggage. But it's really tapping into and connecting back into that, what I call that voice within, which is the voice of the divine voice, which is your own divine voice. And then the voice of your guides and your higher source, all working to orchestrate your best life for you. That's really what
Absolutely.
it's all about.
We have it just like Dorothy in Wizard of Oz. She's always had it all along, the power to go back home, and it wasn't in the ruby slippers or anything. And we've always had this power within, and we are designed to come here to learn and to evolve and to expand our soul's awareness and to go through challenges in order to learn what it's like to come out on the other side. And that's the way, with the veil of forgetfulness, and to find our way back to finding our true selves, and moving into those higher vibrational awarenesses. And would you say that children that are coming in the future of humanity, the children that are being born in a different, uh, uh, I don't know if it's a different vibration or a different, like they come in knowing certain things already, like they won't have the same challenges that we do because they're ahead of the game in their awareness? Do you think they come in with maybe more sensory awareness and more evolution when they come in, like the kids being born in this generation?
Absolutely. My personal opinion, yes. I absolutely think more kids are being born. Well, I'll go back to kids, even from, us being older, we were born that way. But it's like I said, we were shut down, people don't talk about this, or you don't, we just were taught to look external. Now you have more people like us, light workers, and people more awareness who are saying, it's okay, to understand that there is this other side of life, and to help kids stay connected to it. But I do believe that kids are coming in much more sensitive, much more aware. And what I feel is happening is that I just had this conversation with someone just the other day. I believe that the children now, I saw this commercial, Jean, where it said on TV, like 43% of children have a diagnosis of like an
Oh my gosh.
ADHD, and it was, a commercial was about ADHD, and I was watching it with my 14-year-old son, and we looked at each other, and he's like, "Mom, that's a lot." And I said, "Yes, that is a lot." And for what that triggers for me, that statistic is too high. So it tells us we're measuring the wrong thing. And I think children are being born with this different sensory and awareness because they're being prepared for 20, 30, 40 years out, which is different than what we have experienced. And I think we're using the wrong measurements. And these children are being measured by old standards and saying they have this label, when I think we need to start adjusting our environments, whether it's home and school environments, to better support these children that are much more in tune with their intuitiveness, and they're coming in much more aware and awakened, and it's not understood because you have a bunch of older people who are just now trying to connect back to understand what the children already know. So then they're being put in these labels and these boxes, of this is what's going on. And it goes back to conditioning to manage, but there's always a balance of working with all of this, and so I know school systems and even family, you just have to be aware and learn how to work with the children to understand how to tap into that. Mindfulness practices are a great way to do it. Trusting that inner voice. I think these are all schools are getting more aware. They're bringing more social emotional wellness and learning into the school system. So slowly it's trickling in there. I'd love to see a lot more of it, but it is happening because you do have teachers and parents who are aware, who are starting to help make those changes. But yeah, I definitely agree with you, Jean. The children are being born more aware, more awakened, more prepared for this new consciousness, as long as it doesn't get shut down out of them, and then they have to, and they'll have to learn how to go back and reconnect.
So I think I guess in my 30s, perhaps, was the first time that I seriously wanted to study what this energy and frequency and spiritual interaction and it really, I mean, I guess like in my 20s I may have been interested in maybe card readings or psychics and things like that. Like it's always been on TV to some degree or another. But like the John Edwards show or the show The Medium, and those types of things were always intriguing me. But when I was younger, I just remember being really, really sensitive. Like I was uh, I was easily shut down. I was easily hurt. I would easily not want to play with the other kids. And, I was just really, really sensitive. And people will be like, oh, you're a big crybaby. But I just was sensitive. And I think that lens, this is who I am now. I'm very sensitive. And it's important to be sensitive, to listen to those subtle energies. And this is who I've always been, but I didn't know it then. But I think that the new generations coming in may not have to go through all of that in order to come to where we are now. And that so maybe in their lifetimes, where when they come to this place in their life, they'll be ahead of the game than, further along than we are. But it does provide hope, and it does provide a perspective and an understanding of of where we all are. And everybody has their own journey. It's not right or wrong. It's not good or bad. It's not whether you can or can't. It's just when it's meant for you to come in and to become aware, you will. And I think it also rubs off on people around us too. I I
Mhm.
it's I'm like, woo. Yeah, because some people around me are saying like really profound things, and I'm like, maybe that's my spirit guides talking to me through my loved ones and friends around me.
Mhm.
And it's really beautiful to see and hear and sense that. Like I can feel that vibration of what they just said, that it's coming from a higher source, not that they're not intelligent or caring, but it was a profound message. um, it's
Mhm.
lovely to see that it ripples out to our communities and the people that we're surrounded by, each and every day, whether or not we have somebody that we encourage every day, or somebody that we listen to them on the phone every day when they have their kids and their grandkids and they're and it's just really beautiful to share the energy and the perspective and the awareness, and to be there to help somebody maybe see things just a little bit differently. It's a beautiful thing. So Ellen, in your youth, when you were younger and coming up, how did you realize, you said you've always been a medium because you could sense and see things. Can you tell us a little bit about when you were younger, how that may have manifested for you?
Yeah, and actually, I never saw things, but I'm very clear audience. I always heard things and sensed things. And for me, just from a child like Eugene, I used to cry all the time going to school. I was very sensitive, and I didn't realize I didn't like being in big crowds. And the thing that's funny is, like, I'm from a family of, I have 8 in my family. There's 10 of us. So but I was always the one that was quiet and kind of to myself, because even in the family, it was just, we did a lot of fun things and all, and that was fun, but it was just a lot of energy all the time, a lot of activity, and an extended family getting together. I was a kid trying to find the corner, to be off in, because lots of people, lots of energy around. But I came up through church and being Catholic, and my mother was devout Catholic, my parents. So we grew up going to church all the time. And for me, that was helpful in the sense that it really gave me I always say my mother gave me my faith foundation. Now,
Mm-hmm.
even at a young age, this is just me, I didn't always believe in everything. I questioned things a lot. So I didn't always just take things for what I was told, even when it came to religion. But what being Catholic did for me was help me develop that, going to church helped me develop my personal relationship with a higher source, which I think kept me sensitive, because I used to say, even as a young girl, it's like, well, God talks to me, but because of things that would happen coincidentally, I'm like, that's God talking to me, but not knowing. And when you get to metaphysics, it's a different set of labels and terms, but it's all meaning basically like the same thing. But I was very sensitive, and I picked up on things. People would say, well, how did you know that? How did you sense that? How did you know that? And I don't know, I just knew. And as I started getting older and progressing, I was one of those overachievers, but it was just because I could always make connections to what
Oh,
other people did. I could connect in and say, these things are going to happen. So it helped me to achieve quite a bit. And even my grades, excelling in school. Then when I got into my career at work, um, after I got out of college, I went into government, and I went from an entry level position to a senior executive position in 14 years, which is unheard of, because I hit senior executive level at the age of 36, and most people didn't hit it in
wow.
their 50s. But as I was climbing the ladder, it was just like, people would say, you called that 3 months ago. You said that 2 weeks ago. I just could put
Oh,
things together intuitively. I made connections on things. They'd start saying, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, this is what's going to happen. Didn't have a frame of reference for why I could connect the dots like I did. But it helped me. But I still never connected it to, um, like having this in, like mediumship, putting the labels like mediumship and the metaphysical labels on it. And the bigger, after I got older and I started studying metaphysical and this different part, it opened up spirituality in a different way for me. Religions, I think, are beautiful if they help people have that sense of they help you have a sense of community, and if they help you have your own connection, with your higher source. I think that's beautiful. But I think your spiritual awareness and awakening always comes through self. And it's never going to be through a third person, whether it's a rabbi, priest, minister, reverend, whatever. Those are beautiful positions,
or
but
psychic.
or
It's
psych
never going to, or psychic. It's
or
going to
psychic.
come through yourself. Yeah.
You,
Hmm.
and you've got to be tapped into that. Nobody's going to be able to do it for you. It won't be any other third. It's going to be you. And you've got to, when you do the work, and you can tell when you've done some work to release and open, you become more sensitive and understanding of the things around you. And that's why, like what you said, Jean, it's absolutely, I think it's a remembrance. And that's why I say, for our children, if we can keep them connected where they don't have to remember, we give them the words and the terminology now, and keep them and it's like you said, and I used to get, oh, you're so sensitive. Well, sensitivity is a superpower. It's not a negative thing. So we let
Yeah.
children know that it's okay to be sensitive, and just to work with that. And I think that the more light workers like us, and having these conversations and normalizing it, and more people are stepping forward with it, we're naturally opening doorways. We're helping to shift the consciousness to help make it better for the younger ones who are coming in.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. Well, thank you so very much, Ellen. This is just a beautiful conversation, beautiful array of topics that we've covered and discussed and talked about. I think that it's really important to continue to talk about the self awareness and self love, higher vibrational energies around us, and, going through this ascension and this sort of the evolution of humanity. They're saying in our generation, in our lifetime, there's going to be a change in the sensitivity and the awareness of humanity. I think that's so very exciting, and we're all part of it. And it's the light worker, it's the, the way shower, it's the, all the different terminologies that they list. And I think it's really important to have these types of conversations, high vibrational conversations, really revealing and sharing. For everybody who's out there is on a different level and on their own journey, and they will reach their expected level of awareness in their own time. And like you said, when they have achieved and gone through some of the work, and some of the work is just letting things go. It's not like work. It's about focusing on what is bringing us joy, and what is no longer what is draining our energy, and making your choice towards joy and love, and letting go of the things that are draining you and causing you, heartache. It's difficult decisions, but it's each choice and each day, and little by little it'll bring us to that place where we're living in a more of a harmony with our soul's vibration and our soul's purpose and our soul's intuition. But
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Ellen. And do you have something that might be coming up that you want to share with everybody? I'm dying to tell them. What do you have coming up soon, Ellen? Do you have
Well,
an event coming up?
Well, I do have two things that are going to be coming up, and just with like what we're talking about of all this. I have a couple festivals that I'm doing, Illuminate festivals. With probably you'll be there, Jean, at a couple of those. So doing some of those. I'm going to be holding an inner wisdom workshop later this month. There's some more information on that, but inner wisdom and how, just like what we've been talking about, how we can start to learn to understand how to tap into that hearing. I call it the voice within, which is your guide, your higher source, how to connect with that, to do the work to connect with it, to embrace it, understand it, embrace it, and trust it. So that's a workshop that's going to be coming up. And then I'm going to be starting because there's so many themes of like what we talked about that run through my book that came out, that I'm going to be doing a book series. And each week taking a chapter, there's 10 chapters in the book, but on those topics, and diving a little deeper into discussions on them. So there's a chapter on spirituality, on love, on self-awareness, on self-mastery, on faith and trust, on all. So we're going to take each one of those each week and dive a little deeper and have conversations around them.
Is that on Zoom?
I'm good. Yes, it'll be on.
Wow.
So
wow. I will definitely. Sorry. I'll definitely put the links in when it's all set up and ready, and you can send me the link on how people can sign up, and I'll put it in my community page. And that is really so exciting. Very, very much needed, isn't it? It's just so much needed right here, right now, at this time for everyone. And it's so very uplifting. And the events that Ellen was referring to is her and I were going to be at the psychic fairs in person coming up, and one of them is going to be in Columbia, Maryland, and the other one is going to be, it's Annapolis, right? I don't have my calendar in front of me. Yes. It's Annapolis and Columbia, and we're going to be at both of them. And this is where Ellen and I met, is one of those psychic fairs, and she's just so very gracious and kind to me, and I just love everything that she has to offer. I was just fascinated by all of her offerings and her energy, and we became instant friends. So I'm looking forward to seeing you and at the shows, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the links. I'll put the links in the show notes below, and I'll also put the links in my community page as they are more as it gets closer to the time that you're going to be offering them.
Okay, great.
As well.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And Jean's amazing too, so I have to tell you all that. Jean's amazing. You're amazing too.
Thank you. You're so very sweet. You're so very sweet. Thank you. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to be around like-minded people and to have people that support one another, and it's all different kinds. So thank you everybody for being here today. I appreciate all of your comments, all of your communication and interaction here. Diane, Karen, Craig Dixon, Lori, and Karen and Lindsay. I'm sorry, Linda, and Stacy is here. Jessica is here. So many people are here. Thank you all very much. And Rush, there's so many I can't even name them all. But thank you again. Have a wonderful Monday. I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to be on with Wisdom Seeker Joan and Gerald from Tarot Stash, and we're going to be doing a collaboration and a show together tomorrow. I believe it's 2 p.m. Eastern. So please come on back and see us there. Have a wonderful evening. Let me just get this set up. And thank you, Ellen, for everything, for all your time and your expertise. I appreciate everything.
Thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful talking with you and being part of your show and being able to share with your audience again.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you enjoy this content, hit like, share, and subscribe. Remember to click the bell to be notified of future videos. Thanks again. Bye.